Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps Deep Dive, where we unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and make sense of complex ideas together.
Today we are really jumping into the deep end. We're looking at a source that makes one of the most provocative claims we've ever encountered.
I think that's an understatement. We're analyzing a research report on a book called The Book of Wisdom by Harry Jozef.
And the central idea, the hook, is it's designed to be irresistible.
It really is. It claims a secret, sacred oil is produced right inside your brain. This oil then descends your spine for 3 days, and then it ascends 33 vertebrae to unlock, and this is the key part, 100% of your brain's potential and help you achieve what it calls Christ consciousness.
It's taking these huge spiritual concepts and literally mapping them onto your anatomy.
Exactly. Yeah. So our mission today is to act as guides through this incredible synthesis. We want to help you distinguish between what might be authentic ancient tradition, what's a modern remix, and what are the hard scientific facts versus the symbolic meaning.
And that's a crucial distinction, because the source material itself tells us to be critical right from the start.
It does. It flags the book as a modern synthesis, which basically means it's a brilliant but highly interpretive remix of ideas.
It's like a grand piece of literary architecture. It pulls so heavily from everywhere. Hermetic mentalism, Gnosticism, Kabbalah,
Kundalini yoga, esoteric Freemasonry, it's all in there.
And the report is very clear. You shouldn't assume that these really sensational claims represent some single, untouched ancient teaching.
No, it's taking a lot of interpretive license. It's connecting dots that, historically were probably never meant to be connected. But it's an approach that really works for the modern spiritual seeker.
That's right. And as we plunge into this unique blend of biology and mysticism, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy content that makes you think.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the emotional hook.
The sacred secretion itself. So the book claims that your brain secretes a physical substance, a Christ oil.
And it gets so specific, it says, this secretion originates in the claustrum. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the claustrum is this super thin sheet of neurons, way deep under the cortex. It's a pretty obscure part of the brain.
It is, and from there, this oil is supposedly charged or, consecrated by the pineal and pituitary glands before it begins its journey.
And that journey is everything, isn't it? It's the core of the symbolism.
Absolutely. The oil descends the spinal column all the way down to the sacrum, right at the base of your spine.
And here, the book claims it just rests for 3 days.
Which is such an explicit echo of Jesus in the tomb for 3 days before the resurrection. You can't miss that parallel.
So you have this death and rebirth metaphor mapped directly onto a biological process at the base of your spine.
Yeah.
But how does the physical part connect to the spiritual result?
Well, that's the ascent. After those 3 days, the substance supposedly starts to travel back up the spine.
Through all 33 vertebrae.
Through all 33. And this ascent, this return journey, is what supposedly awakens all this dormant, unused capacity in the brain.
This is where you can really see the author's genius at synthesis, right? This one story bridges at least 3 huge concepts.
It does. You've got the Christian symbolism of anointing, the chrism oil, the Christ oil.
Fused directly with the Kundalini concept of the serpent energy rising up the spine.
And then holding it all together is the number 33. The human spine has 33 vertebrae.
Which is linked directly to Jesus' age at the crucifixion.
And it's also the highest symbolic degree in esoteric Freemasonry. It's just a perfect numeric container for this whole inner journey.
It's breathtaking how it all fits together. If you look at it charitably, the story is this incredibly powerful allegory.
Right, it's a map.
It's a map for an inner alchemical process, a kind of personal death. The descent followed by a spiritual resurrection, the ascent, it's an instruction manual.
And that psychological power is what makes the book so compelling, but we have to look at the other side of the coin.
The skeptical interpretation.
Yes. The research report is pretty emphatic here. It says there is 0 physiological evidence for any kind of literal oil being produced, descending, resting, and then ascending the spine to activate the brain.
So that detail about the claustrum was important to make it sound biological.
Exactly.
But the core claim is, from a biological perspective, impossible. The idea of 100% brain activation from a substance traveling up your spine is it's biological fiction.
Which is why the philosophy has to be so strong to support the biology. So let's widen out a bit. Let's talk about the foundational claim of the whole book.
That consciousness is primary.
That consciousness is foundational and the universe is mental.
That sounds almost word for word like Hermeticism. The Kybalion quote, right? The all is mind, the universe is mental.
That's the one. And it's mixed in with ideas from the New Thought movement, teachings about infinite intelligence, the law of attraction, that sort of thing. The book is basically saying reality comes from consciousness, what you think you experience.
And, the psychological value of that idea is just immense, even if you don't take it literally.
Of course.
If you believe your mind shapes your experience, it shifts responsibility inward. It gives you this powerful sense of personal agency. It can really improve your well-being.
That feeling of empowerment is key. And the book then takes that big macro idea and brings it down to the micro level with the principle of correspondence.
As above, so below.
Exactly. Your physical body isn't just a machine, it's a living map of the cosmos.
Your body as the inner temple, mirroring the entire universe. And this is where the 33 symbolism comes back in.
It is. The 33 vertebrae become a symbol for all spiritual achievement. Jesus' age, the Master Mason degree, all of it is mapped right onto your own anatomy.
It's fascinating how numerology is used as the glue here to connect these completely different traditions.
But the report notes that this specific connection, the 33 vertebrae having this exact esoteric meaning, is most likely a modern invention. It's numerology being retrofitted onto anatomy. You don't really see this specific teaching in the original ancient texts.
Okay, so if the spine is the channel, we have to talk about the control center, the pineal gland. The book calls it the seat of the soul.
The inner temple. And this idea has deep roots. It goes all the way back to the 17th century philosopher René Descartes.
He was the first major figure to propose it as the bridge between the non-physical soul and the material body, right?
That's right. And that idea has just resonated through mysticism ever since.
But when we step into the modern world, we know what it actually does.
We do. Science sees the pineal gland as a small endocrine organ. Its primary verified job is producing melatonin,
which regulates our sleep-wake cycles, our circadian rhythms.
Yes, very biological. But, and this is where it gets interesting, the author leverages a small detail from scientific research to bridge that gap.
The calcite microcrystal.
The calcite microcrystals. Research has actually found these inside the pineal gland, and some studies have suggested these crystals might be piezoelectric.
Piezoelectric. Let's just quickly unpack that.
It just means the crystal could potentially convert mechanical stress, like a vibration, into electrical energy. Or do the reverse. It's a way to transfer energy.
That is a genuinely surprising detail for a book like this to pull out. It gives a plausible sounding physical mechanism for how it might receive energy.
It does. But this is the critical boundary. This is the line you, the learner, have to see clearly. Despite these microcrystals existing and the possibility of piezoelectricity, the science is firm on this. There is no evidence they receive or emit spiritual frequencies or light, which is what the book claims.
So this is the exact point where the synthesis moves from leveraging science to pure speculation.
Precisely. We're stepping out of biology and into metaphysical metaphor.
And that line is always the hardest thing to navigate.
It is, and keeping that discernment is what this is all about.
And if this deep dive is resonating with you, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
Okay, so let's pivot to the how. The practices the book advocates for awakening this Christ consciousness, for helping that sacred oil make its journey.
So what are the specific recommendations? What does the seeker have to do?
The book gets very specific here. It advocates for preserving sexual fluid, for one, adopting a strict alkaline diet, deep meditation, of course.
And a specific yoga technique, the Kachari Mudra.
Yes, the Kachari Mudra. For those who don't know, that's an advanced tongue posture where you curl the tongue back to touch the soft palate or even the nasal cavity.
So again, we're seeing a synthesis.
A clear synthesis. Classical Kundalini yoga definitely emphasizes ethics, breathwork, meditation, but the book adds these modern modifications like the rigid diet and the fluid retention rules, which aren't really part of the traditional yoga canon.
And all of these practices are supposed to lead to unlocking 100% of the brain. We really have to address that claim head on.
We absolutely must. Let's be very clear. Neuroscience has completely and thoroughly debunked the 10% brain myth.
It's a myth that just refuses to die, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so often used in these narratives to promise some kind of untapped potential.
But it's just false. Humans use their entire brain. To say you only use 10% of your brain is like saying you only use 10% of your lungs. It's biologically nonsensical.
So any claim of activating some huge unused capacity through spiritual means is really misrepresenting the science.
Which brings us back to that idea of mind over matter. The emphasis on positive thinking, which comes from New Thought, can be incredibly valuable for your mental health.
Right. We know that mindfulness and cognitive reframing are powerful tools. They can improve well-being. They can even tap into scientifically recognized placebo effects.
That's the charitable framing, but the skeptical caution here is just as important. If you overemphasize mental causation, if you believe your thoughts literally create your physical reality,
You risk a couple of things. First, victim blaming. The idea that you somehow caused your own illness or your own misfortune just by thinking the wrong thoughts.
and second, it sets these wildly unrealistic expectations, especially when the book uses beautiful esoteric language like low-frequency light condenses into matter and high-frequency matter returns to light.
That language is so poetic. It's definitely drawn from traditions like Hermeticism and Theosophy. But how does that stack up against, physics?
Well, it doesn't really hold up as a literal description of the physical world. I mean, the concept of energy-matter equivalence, EMC, that's real. But that specific language about low-frequency light condensing, it's a metaphor. It's describing a spiritual transformation, not particle physics.
Let's appreciate the metaphor, but don't try to test it in a lab.
Exactly. And just one final brief point. The book does touch on a common conspiracy theory.
The idea that the Vatican or some other elite group is actively suppressing knowledge about the pineal gland.
Right, and they point to things like pine cone symbols in historical art as evidence.
But the report dismisses this pretty quickly.
It does. There's just no evidence to support it. Pine cone motifs are decorative elements you can find in many cultures all over the world, long before modern neuroscience. It's not proof of some secret plot.
And before we wrap, we have to mention safety. For anyone interested in these physical practices, especially the intense breath work or unsupervised energy work, the report urges real caution. There can be mental health risks.
Please consult trained professionals. Don't just try this at home from a book.
So the ultimate takeaway from this deep dive is clear. Our goal here is always about sparking curiosity, challenging assumptions, and expanding understanding.
And the Book of Wisdom masterfully synthesizes powerful symbols into one compelling story. Our job and your job is to maintain discernment, to treat these symbolic maps differently from testable scientific facts.
The true value for you, the learner, is in that distinction. The psychological empowerment you can get from the metaphor, the inner journey, the sense of personal responsibility, that can be incredibly valuable.
But we have to be so careful not to literalize the biological claims like physical oil or the 100% brain activation.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with.
If the incredible journey of this sacred oil is purely a metaphor, an internal map for transformation, then what are the real secrets to cultivating inner expansion? What are the tangible habits like meditation or mindful breathing or simple ethical conduct that form the true physical foundation for your spiritual ascent?
That's a powerful distinction to mull over. Like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind Mashups deep dives.
And you can find My Mind Mashups everywhere you listen. That's Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube.
Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could shape our next deep dive. We look forward to hearing from you.